So for the director position, we're going to limit to one question from our candidate questions, and then also the audience can ask questions too. So for the director of business affairs, we're going to start with Melina. What AS department do you feel needs more priority and why?
Okay, the AS department that I feel needs more priority is the Cesar Chavez Community Action Center. I believe that is one department that is overlooked. It is a volunteer service program for our students, and a lot of students don't even know we have a volunteer program service on campus. And I feel like if we improved our marketing, look, students love to volunteer, and if we improved our marketing, it would definitely improve that department. That is one department I feel love and I'm very passionate about. So hopefully more students can support volunteer.
And so the question is, what AS department do you feel needs more priority and why?
The AS department that I feel needs, excuse me, my voice is going out a little bit here. The AS department that I feel needs more funding or at least more attention is the transportation department. I came here 3 years ago as a commuter. I'm still commuting. And I just feel that there have already been great strides made. Something like the EcoPass system that makes coming to school affordably a lot more acceptable for students. But I definitely feel that there's more work to be done as far as making things like bike racks more accessible or parking outreach. So making sure that students know the opportunities available to them, because I mean, if you can't get to school, then you can't really do anything while you're here. So once that gets addressed, then I feel that students will at least have one thing off of their minds, because there's already midterms and tests to deal with. So if we can get that addressed, that would definitely propel the organization forward.
Great, thank you. And now we're going to open up the audience for questions. Does anybody in the audience have a question? Any questions for Director of Business Affairs? If there's no more questions, then thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
So, as Director of Community Sustainability, what is currently unsustainable on this campus, and how would you improve it?
I would say the use of water at this campus is very alarming. I've walked around this campus and seen sprinklers on various places that don't really need any water and that don't have any plants around. And I don't think that is a responsible way to use our resources.
Thank you.
I also think water is very important, especially given the current system or the current situation with the drought in California. I'd say I'd want to look into energy usage too, because we obviously have a lot of buildings on campus and they obviously use a lot of power, and I want to make sure that it's green and that it's efficient in its usage. That's right.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the audience?
So I have a quick question. I don't know if you've read, but in the job description as Director of Community Sustainability Affairs, one of your liaisons is Chris Brown of FDNO, who's in charge of all the construction on our campus. What are some ways you would address needs and concerns of students in relation to construction? And if it's out of your control, what would you do?
This is for you.
I would say in regards to construction on campus, I would try to speak with the people in charge and make sure that I forgot the questions, the basics. Thank you.
So So okay, I'll just, there we go. So one of your liaisons as the Director of Community and Sustainability Affairs is the Executive Director of FTNO, his name is Chris Brown. How would you address the needs and concerns of the construction on our campus? And if it's out of your purview or out of your control, what would you do?
Okay, in regards to that, I definitely want to maybe get a survey and understand what student concerns are and how severe those concerns are. And if it's out of my control, I think the best thing to do would be to try and lobby and make sure that the concerns are heard and make sure that the powers that be are just they can hear us and understand the concerns that we have.
We have one more question.
Oh, hi guys. I just want to know what drives you individually for this position and what maybe experience or knowledge you have with community sustainability and like what makes you a stronger candidate, what sets you apart from each other.
For me personally, I come from an organizer background. I do, in my spare time, I do a lot of community organizing. So I've served on different committees. I put in a lot of time and effort to accomplish several projects, like a community garden project at a low-income neighborhood in Eastside San Jose, as well as other events.
What really drives me for this position is just the passion kind of for the environment. As far as my coursework, it's not exactly tailored to community or sustainability, but it's going to sound kind of small, but I took a class in high school about environmental studies, and it was just really eye-opening about the issues that happen and in regards to the environment and how we can do better in regards to that. So it really just is an important cause to me. I think it can be improved, and yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll start with John A. So as Director of External Affairs, what types of CSU policies would you want to see passed?
CSU policies? As of right now, my main focus, I have a lot of focuses, but my main focus is the campus climate. Last year, this past year, Assembly Member Shirley Weber did a campus-wide review on the campus climate. Because as you guys may know, a lot of our CSU campus climate is kind of weird. If you guys read the reports, a lot of students don't feel safe on campus, and they don't feel like it's a welcoming environment. So that's something that I do want to focus on and push on to improve these policies, as well as looking up legislation that just came out, AB 1228. It's something that I just found out about, and it kind of pushes what I want to do as a new initiative. But this assembly bill is going to allow homeless students to have priority registration in housing. So it kind of presses on one of my initiatives because I want to write a grant or write some kind of legislation or help in pushing those efforts to legislation where homeless students can have temporary housing.
Great, thank you. And now Sam wants to take a question. What types of CSU policies would you want to see passed?
So unfortunately, at this time, I haven't researched exactly what the CSU is working on. But if I were selected for this position, I know I'm very passionate about speaking on behalf of the students. So definitely learn the ropes as I go. Because unfortunately, I have not been to a CSSA meeting, so I wouldn't be able to answer that at that moment.
Thank you. And we have a question from the audience. So for either candidates, What are your platforms for creating change on campus?
So my platform is only student inclusion, because it is real, it is nice to have like education to raise to bring down the money and fees. But realistically, in 8 months, it's impossible to do it, especially because there's so many initiatives that it's going to take many years to accomplish. So yes, we want to lower down the fees. Yes, we want to do so X, Y, and Z. But realistically, we can't do it. So I'm just focusing on student inclusion.
Thank you. Johnny?
Can you repeat it one more time?
Yeah. What are your platforms for creating change on this campus?
Okay, one of them. Okay. I have a lot of platforms, just like Sam. Diversity and inclusion is something that's very important to me. It's something that I've been working on. But as external affairs, I will serve as a representative statewide. So that is being advocate. So advocate for diversity and inclusion, advocate for success, student success funding. That's something that I've been doing, and there's a lot of things I want to change, and I think I do. I kind of disagree, but I do think it's doable in whatever time I'm given, because I will advocate for it and do whatever necessary it is to do to press it.
Great, thank you. Are there any more questions from the audience?
Hi, this is Anastasia from Spartan Daily. I have a question for Jane. Is that correct? Jean, sorry. You mentioned earlier about homeless students, giving them kind of the priority. How do you define homeless student? Is it someone who's a student but they just have no place to live here because they're from far away? How do you define that?
Okay, so I'm glad you asked that question. Thank you. So homeless students, we usually think of homelessness as you're sleeping on the street, but through our work at the Caesar Chavez Community Action Center, and we have a program which I definitely encourage you guys to be a part of. It's called The Future Is Ours. One of the past chairs, she was very adamant about focusing on student homelessness, and student homelessness is if you're moving from house to house every 2 weeks, every other day, not having a stable place to stay. Because when you're focusing on where you're going to stay or where you're going to shower that night, you can't focus. It's impossible to focus on school. So, yeah.
Any more questions?
So since I can talk loud enough. Since we have one question for John Day, let's have one question for Sam. If you were to, if there was something that you could change about all CSUs, including San Jose State, something that you could change about San Jose State that could also help all other CSUs all around the state, what would it be? What sort of ideas come to mind for you?
What I would like to change is definitely transparency, because there isn't any. If I were to look up what the CSUSA is doing, unless I'm part of that board, unless I'm a student in that organization, I will not know. So definitely I want to change transparency. Because like right now, if I look at the records, I don't see anything. I don't know what's going on. So definitely I feel like that would help, because once the students know what's going on, I feel like they'd be definitely more inclusive and more involved. And that could definitely help for all 23 CSUs.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, the next position up for debate is Director of Faculty Affairs. Could all candidates please step up? For you is, how would you work with on-campus organizations to build a sense of community amongst them?
I think something that's really important, first of all, to build is the faculty and student relationship. I feel like there's a big problem. There's a lot of mistrust between faculty and students, especially with the whole Cisco controversy. I believe there are two issues here that need to be addressed, which is transparency and accessibility. I think it's important for students to know and recognize high-level administration and faculty in general. And one of my goals is to bridge the gap between students and faculty. One way we can increase transparency and accessibility between student orgs and high-level administration is possibly to host events where we do very casual environments for students and faculty to have conversations. And I think this is the beginning, like if students can go out and see administration and faculty in general, they can develop a relationship and they can work together more easier because, faculty have a lot of connections and networks outside of just the school that can help the student organizations.
And it's better, I think these environments are better than to just simply have a meeting where many students could be intimidated by professionals in the room. And I think this will be a start, this will be the start of creating a better student-faculty relationship.
Thank you. We actually have a question from the audience. What is something you believe that could use improvement regarding student-faculty affairs?
Oh, I feel like I kind of just answered that, but I'll just reiterate. I really do believe that there is, like I said, there is mistrust between students and faculty, and because of this, we really need to work on the relationship between all students and faculty. Like I said, I feel like all students should know their higher level administration, faculty, and to do this, you need to create comfortable environments for them to interact together. So.
Thank you. Any questions from the audience?
I think the question was saying, how would you change the position of faculty affairs, right? Like, if there's a change,
Improvement.
like improvement within the position or just the relationship? Yeah. I just want to make sure that the question was answered correctly, or that, because from my understanding, the question was saying, how would you improve the position of faculty affairs right now to make it more effective? That's how I understood the question.
Is that, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, it was just like that.
Okay. I think to help, sorry, can you do that one more time?
Yeah, what is something you believe that could use improvement regarding the faculty affairs position?
My position, I feel like there needs to be more students, not just me interacting with other faculty. So something I would do is if I'm going to committee meeting something, maybe offer other students the ability to come attend these meetings with me so they have more knowledge of what's happening around campus as well. Because I sit on 9 different committees right now. I think it would be very beneficial for other students to come along with me.
Great, thank you. So our question for you is, what initiatives would you push for with the first Chief Diversity Officer?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, so what initiatives would you push for with the first Chief Diversity Officer?
I think one of the things that I would really want to push forward and work with is to have more counseling sessions with intercultural affairs. I would work with a lot of minority groups, and in minorities, not limited just to like culture, but as well as the international students, maybe 540 that was mentioned earlier for undocumented students. Counseling is something that many students don't get. And I believe that by pushing for more counseling sessions as well as counselors, that will help having a healthier outlet for students, which means they'll be able to work better in class. And stuff.
Great, thank you. Any questions from the audience?
So there's going to be a lot of initiatives that the President Mo is going to be working on next semester. Well, he's starting committees to work on. Are you informed about those initiatives and committees that he's putting together? And if so, what do you plan to do, or how do you plan to collaborate with them?
Thank you. So this is my first year out running for AS, so I'm still learning everything. So I would definitely look into all of those and be willing to work with Presmo as well as all of the other organizations and resources on campus to collaborate on something that works for everyone.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
So our question is for you, what part of the bylaws would you focus on first in your position?
So I think that first thing we need to do as an internal affairs, director of internal affairs, I need to read through all the bylaws and make sure I have a solid understanding of what's being implemented, see what issues there are throughout any of them, and then make that decision.
Great, thank you. We have another question from the audience. What do you feel needs to be changed in associate students?
So I definitely agree with the previous speakers who were talking about the transparency. I feel like a lot of students don't really know what's happening. They don't feel included in a way. At least that's how I felt for the last 3 years. So that's one thing definitely that needs to be worked on.
Great, thank you. We're open for audience questions. This is for Director of Internal Affairs.
Hi, so for internal affairs position, you're going to be working very, very closely with the bylaws. So what kind of experience with writing or just any type of other legislation do you have that you think will help you be effective in that position?
So writing legislation, I don't have much experience. One thing, I did help find a student organization on this campus, and maybe I did help write that constitution, so maybe that's about the most experience I have.
Thank you. Any other questions for the Director?
I had one. So I'm not sure if you had an opportunity to look at any of the internal affairs agendas. Did you happen to see this last Wednesday's agenda from yesterday?
No, I haven't.
Okay. There were 8 or 9 very important items on that agenda, including a couple of items that refer to the composition of committees and associated students and their function. One of which was the personnel committee. So we had a discussion about the composition of the personnel committee. Do you have any thoughts on how you would approach or recommend, or what you might recommend in terms of composition of that particular committee?
First, I would have to review. I haven't personally reviewed that, so I don't think I have the capability of answering that question as of right now.
Great, thank you. So our first question is, how do you work to make the campus safer, given that it's in the middle of downtown San Jose?
Thank you for that question. So looking at in regards to safety in San Jose, obviously we do have unfortunately a high amount of crime rate due to the area we're in right now. But I think we can solve crime within our university domestically. But what I mean is, unfortunately, we've seen throughout the United States, just not in San Jose State, amounts of domestic violence and sexual assaults going on that can be dealt with if we do teach it culturally, and if we do teach it like in any way with our education system. So with that being said, unfortunately, even within our fraternity houses today, we see that somehow unfortunately been left within the past years or so because of the fact that they've been caught unfortunately roofing individuals' drinks at the time. So I would like to work with San Jose specifically to make sure that we in fact are not the ones causing any of this violence, since we probably can't fix that the most.
Great, thank you. Everyone, I see the same question. How would you work to make the campus safer, given it's in the middle of downtown?
That is an excellent question, and that's something that I've given much thought to, actually. I heard many concerns from students that sometimes the blue light spots that we have on campus even are not working sometimes, so that's something feasible and easy to fix. There's also other inclusive projects we can work on, such as maybe working with engineering, building engineering students who create an app of some sort, maybe with the computer science students as well. So that way they can gain experience in doing actual work, and also helping the rest of the students in making the campus safer. And such an app is viable as well, it's feasible, the project could be funded, and it would essentially create alerts for SJSU Police Department, not just SJSU students, so that they can be on the lookout and have like a security system in that manner. There are various other projects that can be done that are very feasible, and I always keep an open ear for students who have concerns such as these. And as such, if I am to be elected, that will be my main point, and just keeping my ears open for any more ideas like that.
Great, thank you. And we have another question from the audience. So as Director of Student Rights and Responsibilities, what's the biggest issue that this campus is facing? And how do you plan on changing it?
The biggest issue, you said?
Yeah.
Well, that would be a matter of opinion, but I would say that students at HSU are not quite aware of what AS exactly does. I believe it is about a $7 million program or organization, but no one really cares much about it, as it seems. This is my first time running for AS elections, and it's quite obvious that not many students know about AS elections in general. The turnout is very low, and so I think that's a very important issue that I would want to work on if I am to be elected.
Great, thank you. And we'll ask the same question to you. What is the biggest issue at San Jose State, do you feel, and how do you plan on changing it?
Well, I do have a 4-step platform, if you look through my voter information yet, but I'm not going to reiterate that much. Just a quick general summary of that. Essentially, number one would be thoroughly fixing the course system we have in San Jose State. This kind of has 2 sub-points in it. The first would be obviously the lack of funding that large amount of departments are getting. Departments that unfortunately are school finds arbitrary things such as like Mexican American Studies, African American Studies. And the other way I want to approach this also is that unfortunately classes are getting dropped 2 to 3 weeks after like classes have actually begun, which is very problematic due to the fact that ad codes are probably done at that point. You can't even submit them to some extent if you have missed the deadline. So at the end of the day, I feel like getting students involved in their classrooms, getting them in the right classrooms initially is probably my main priority.
Thank you. We're going to open up to the audience for questions.
Hello. The Director of Student Rights and Responsibilities is the director that mostly works with students on an individual basis. What experience do you have with working with students one-on-one and following up with students' rights and responsibilities?
Thank you for that question. So, in my background, I have been working as a debate coach for schools such as Washington High School in Fremont, California, and the Warfield High School in San Jose. So I have had a great amount of dialogue teaching these high school students a great amount of information like how to properly communicate. And I feel that when these events occur, like dilemmas occur between 2 individuals or 2 parties, I think honestly the easiest way is just properly communicating their feelings and expressions to each other. So if that's the case where there is an issue between 2 parties that have some sort of feud or some sort of arbitrary issue, I feel that I can help them communicate those issues to each other and find some sort of resolution for them.
That's a great question. My prior experience is actually why I chose to run for this position. I'm currently in numerous organizations, student organizations, and I always hear concerns and issues from them. And I always thought to myself, how could I make these issues be heard in AS or to whoever it may concern. So my prior experiences, I'm currently in Beyond Z. I'm currently in a fraternity, currently in the Education Opportunity Program, the Latino Business Student Association. There are numerous other programs and organizations that I'm currently in, and I always hear concerns from them. So due to those prior experiences, that is why I'm actually running for this position. And as I continue my experience, as I continue my dedication to those programs, I keep hearing these issues, and it's easy for me once elected for me to communicate to the rest of the directors and the rest of the staff what those issues are and make them a priority to address.
Thank you. Any more questions for the director position? Yeah, one
Hi. So my question is for Eric. I'm reading the biography and it says, quote, listen, I'm from Oakland, so I keep it real. So can you please elaborate on how that makes you more qualified? And I want to hear Lamar respond to that statement. Thank you.
Yes, so your question is how that makes me more qualified, correct? Okay, so in the VIG, as you see, when I say I keep it real, that's a slogan that we use in Oakland, which is where I'm originally from. And I like to keep my roots to, as apparent as possible to the rest, so that people know who exactly they're electing, who they're seeing in front of them. And just as it says, I keep it real, so as of now, I'm actually keeping it real. I truly believe that I am the right candidate for this position, and that's just me keeping it real.
In regards to that, I mean, I believe it's just an interpretation again to his roots. I have no problem with that. I do feel like he's trying to, this is my analysis based on what I misheard right now, simply that he's trying to maybe tie into socioeconomic groups and make a connection with everyone and make himself more diverse. If that's the argument he's trying to make, in regards to that, I rebuttal that I myself am very diverse in trying to connect socioeconomically with all individuals. I'm not exclusive to any particular group on campus. So with that being said, I guess you could say I'm keeping it real too.
Are there any other questions for the Director of Student Rights and Responsibilities? If that's it, thank you so much. Thank you. Well, did every candidate get to speak and give their platform? And I think that's it. So that's going to conclude our candidate debate. Thank you everyone for coming today. And
so, by the way, my name is Ali. I'm running for AS President. What I wanted to say is, all these are student leader positions. They will be elected by students. There is, if you read, there's no prior experience needed. If this is something that you think you can do it, you can do it. There's no experience needed. So.
thank you. This concludes the debate. So thanks for coming out today.